Welcome back to NCS Unfiltered. NFL football week 1. Super excited. I know my wife's going crazy for it. She keeps grabbing me and goes, "I'm so excited for football," which is nice because not everyone's wives are like that. So it's usually quite the opposite. I'd like to thank X for joining me. X, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
X will probably be a mainstay here. For those of you who keep asking me about Bevel, I don't know. Hit him up. That boy's busy with school and work, so it is what it is. But this week and this week hereafter, we're going to be doing covering fantasy football for the first half of the episode, talking about starts and sits. We're going to do quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, and defense. Kickers, I don't really care about you. Sorry. Not really overly relevant to me. And a lot of leagues actually drop kickers and do a super flex. So that's why we're not going to cover them. And then after that, just like we did last year, we're going to run through the betting odds, which we're going to cover plus or minus, money line, and total over-under. So let's start at quarterback. So this week, I like Joe Burrow versus New England. Even though New England has a decent defense, I just don't trust New England at all unless your name is Stevenson, Ramondre Stevenson. So I think Joe Burrow, even though he lost his offensive coordinator, I think he'll be fine this week. And then I'm actually starting Caleb Williams versus Tennessee. Even though Tennessee has a good defense, I think Caleb, with all that talent around him, is going to have a good week 1. I think as we start getting later into the season, I don't trust Caleb. But that's just my personal opinion. But I'm sitting Aaron Rodgers against San Francisco. He's coming off of his ACL. He's 40 years old, playing a top defense this week. I don't really trust him, and that's not me being biased because I do love me some Aaron Rodgers. And Deshaun Watson versus Dallas. Dallas also still has a top defense, and I don't trust them for anything. So, X, who do you got starting this week?
My starts, I got Tua against Jacksonville. Jacksonville lost a lot of pieces on their defense. And one thing that I look at a lot when it comes to matchups is how the other team's offense is going to play. Jacksonville, they have Etney. That's about it. I mean, they might run out the clock, but it's going to be a pretty obvious type of style of offense to where I think Miami's defensive coordinator, everybody at home is going to start to figure it out. Oh, you're going to run it with Etney first, maybe a play action. And I mean, there's just not going to be enough surprises that would make me think that Jacksonville's offense is going to stay on the field. So I think a lot of times Jacksonville's going to end up going 3 and out, and Tua is going to have a lot of chances to do a lot of things. So that's why I like Tua going against the Jags. Kyler Murray is my next one.
You've been talking crap about him all
I have
week.
been, dude. But he's going against the Bills, and the Bills' defense isn't at all really what it used to be. So, I mean, when you look at it too, Josh Allen doesn't have a lot of weapons. They're going to end up turning the ball over a lot. Kyler Murray's going to have a lot of chances. And Kyler Murray, especially with James Conner, all that, they're going to have a lot of time on offense. He's going to have a lot of opportunities, I think. And as far as sits go, I'm sitting Anthony Richardson against the Texans. The Texans have a good defense. Nonetheless, too, that offense is going to be on the field, a lot of it. They're going to be burning out a lot of clock. I don't expect it to be a super high scoring game, but at the same time, I don't think that Anthony Richardson is going to have a lot of opportunities. In my eyes, he's still a rookie. I don't think at all he has 1 year of experience because he couldn't even get through 4 games. So what are we doing? But now with the Texans' revamped offense, the offense is going to be on the field. That defense is going to get the ball back quick. Colts did nothing in the offseason at all to get anything to help defense-wise, so the Texans are just going to essentially have their way. And then the next one, Brock Purdy. That boy is...
That's fair.
Sit that boy, because the Jets' defense is tough. I think a lot of it, if things are going to happen, it's going to be in the run game. It's not going to be so much in the pass game with them. You got Christian McCaffrey and all that. You got Deebo Samuel running out of the backfield too. I think there's going to be a lot more of a run game than there will be a pass game. So that's why I don't think that Purdy's really worth your start.
Yeah, and Trent Williams is, I don't think, there. So that's also a huge piece. I do think that'll be a close game. I also wanted to make a mention that I think you're Anthony Richardson's biggest hater on the internet. So
because everybody is falling into the trap, and brother, I'm the only one that scouted it out. That's all I'm saying. When he
I mean,
gets
we'll see.
injured, I want a recap. I want a resub of this episode when he gets injured, and I just want to see it, and I want a public apology. I want a letter. I want to show that letter to the people and let them know. And if he does good, I will do the exact opposite for you, brother.
All right, sounds good. Well, since I started off with quarterbacks, I'll let you start off with running back because you had mentioned that you believe James Conner's going to do well. So
Yes.
did you put him on your
So
list?
yes, he's actually my first one for a start is James Conner. I think he's going to have a good game against the Bills. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. They want to the coaching option. The coaching has a choice to either show him off early and show what he can do, which isn't always favorable because you don't want teams to start watching him. They're going to watch him regardless, but you don't want all the attention going to him, right? As a coach, that's not what you want, right? You want to have those plays, you want to have these players start to break out towards the end of the season when you start hitting playoff time, when it starts coming to your draft spot or not your draft spot, your playoff spot. And so I don't think they're going to probably show a little bit, but I think they're going to be leaning a lot more on Connor, and they know with their backup they have a good one too if Connor decides to blow out his knee or do whatever Connor does every single season.
Let's
But
let's not
I
let's not put that in the universe. Let's not put that in the universe. For my
but
fantasy team,
I
let's not.
but I do think that that Connor's going to have a good game against the Bills. Like I said, the Bills are going to probably go 3-and-out a lot of the time. Josh Allen might burn the clock just by running a little bit, but I don't think the first downs are going to be very prominent to really make me think that James Conner won't have a good game or have the option at least to. Then my next one is Kenneth Walker going against the Broncos. The Broncos is an absolute mess of a team.
That's
They
fair.
I mean, Sean Payton is a great coach, and he'll probably be able to do something and make something out of it. But at the end of the day, it's still the Broncos, man. They haven't dug themselves out of the hole yet, but I just don't think that defense will be able to contain what Kenneth Walker can do, and just that offense of the Seahawks is pretty explosive. Pete Carroll's still a part of the organization, so a lot of people wondering, oh, well, Pete Carroll's gone. No, it's not going to be that big of a
He's
deal.
not. Yeah.
Pete Carroll pretty much probably just handed over the playbook to him and said, look, man, this works. This gets you a Super Bowl. Just execute it, change it a little bit if you want, but this is going to work. So,
Yeah, those are some
Kenneth
definitely
Walker
strong
there.
picks.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'm actually sitting Ramondre Stevenson against the Bengals.
That's
I
fair.
don't think, I don't, for the simple reason, I do think that offense will be leaning on Ramondre a lot. And I think
Yeah.
that is going to be the downfall, though. They're going to work that man a little too hard. And I don't see that offense really staying on the field very long. And that's my big concern. The Bengals didn't lose too much on defense. They did lose some key pieces, but not enough, I think, to really like throw them into a bad defense situation. Um, so I think that Ramondre has potential to, but I wouldn't start him. I wouldn't trust him. I think you could probably find some other running backs that would be better for you to slot in than Ramondre this week. Um, Next one is DeAndre Swift against the Titans. I do
That's
not
fair.
like that matchup at all. The Titans have a very underrated, as they always have, even when they had Jarrell Casey on the line. Nobody ever really looked at Jarrell Casey, but Jarrell Casey was one of the top D line because the Titans just weren't as successful. And so now you have Jeffrey Simmons, you got a second round pick in Trevondre Sweat. You got Harold Landry, who's coming back from injury, who's still a great pass rusher. And you also got Arden Key on the other side. So that front four is going to be tough. We got Ernest Jones, who led the Rams in tackles, very secured middle linebacker. So great. And then you got lockdown corners who are not afraid to press at all with Snead and Awuzie. So honestly, I don't like Sweat's chances here. If he's going to do anything, it would be screens at best. But as far as rushing goes, he's not going to be able to do a whole lot, I don't think. Because nonetheless, too, Titans defense coordinator loves to blitz. So you're not going to really have a whole lot going on. And especially going against a rookie quarterback, Bill Belichick shows it every single year. All you got to do is blitz that boy and watch the rookiness come out, and he's going to panic. 100%. It
mean,
happens every time.
I think for sure we will see. I mean, I like Caleb this week. I didn't put Swift. You said Sweat. His name's Swift.
No, Sweat. Trayvon
Is your
Sweat
guys.
is
Got it.
our second round defensive lineman.
Got it. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with your DeAndre Swift. I think if the Bears are going to be successful, it's going to be in throwing the ball. So,
yeah.
This week I actually have Aaron Jones against New York Giants just because I absolutely despise the New York Giants, our organization. They're just trash. Like, dude, they got rid of Barkley for nothing. Like, it's like I don't understand what's going on there. And I know New York Giant Joe probably watches this, so this is a shout out for him. You guys are gonna have another shit season, so.
They're a feeder team, bro. They're a feeder team.
Daniel Jones is trash. He gets paid him $40 million a year. It's fine. Aaron Jones is going to have his first game back. Honestly, he was the only running game for Green Bay last year anyways, and a lot of those games they won was because of him, besides crazy last-minute Jordan Love bombs and pass interference calls. So I actually really like Aaron Jones this week. And then I'm actually starting any Miami running back. So if you got Mostert, a chain, I mean, if you're in a really deep league and you got even a third stringer, run them. Jacksonville's pretty boo-boo, as X said earlier. But for sure, Mostert and the chain, you're starting them. I think they're both viable this week. I'm sitting Pacheco this week against Baltimore, and I know he's a higher pick, only because Baltimore, in my opinion, has one of the best defenses in the league, regardless. I know the Browns is up there, but just Baltimore every year, and year in and year out, has always proven that their run defense is top-notch.
Yeah.
And whenever you can stop Christian McCaffrey, by all means, that to me proves you got a good defense.
You've earned
the
a
Dallas
place.
Cowboys can do that. Yes. So I think he's going to have a rough go. And I actually am sitting Jerome Ford versus Dallas. I think Dallas's line is going to be pretty good against the run. They usually are. Micah Parsons is always really great. And they have a lot of their corners and stuff back as well. But as far as just running backs concerned, I don't trust Jerome Ford this week. However, with receiver, because we've been talking about Caleb, I am starting DJ Moore against Tennessee. I do think DJ Moore, even though Keenan Allen is there and he's the new guy, DJ Moore knows the offense. And yes, Caleb is a rookie, but DJ Moore is a lot quicker, a lot faster. In my opinion, he has better hands. Keenan Allen has the experience, but I like the youth there with DJ Moore. And then I'm starting Calvin Ridley against Chicago. Yeah, that's your boy. He's on your team now. That's right.
Hey, I just want to point out for that DJ Moore, he's going to be going against L'Jarius Sneed, a guy who's never allowed last season, never allowed one touchdown his entire last season.
He's going to though. It's fine. It's fine. I think Caleb is the. I wasn't a believer in Caleb like at all, and then I saw some tape and I was like, "Oh, this kid's sick." I was surprised. I didn't think he was that good. And he did pretty well in preseason. He played against Boo Boos, but I mean, he still did well.
He was the first overall for a reason. So
right. But I like Calvin Ridley. He's on a new team. Will Levis has to throw to somebody. DeAndre's looking a little old, or he is old and injury prone. So I think Ridley's going to give him that spark. And I'm hoping for my 4 PSA 10 Will Levis cards that he does really well this week. And Ridley has a good game, so I can sell those cards. But I'm sitting George Pickens at Atlanta. And that's only because I don't trust Pittsburgh right now in general. I love Russell Wilson in his prime. I got a nice autographed jersey here that I'm selling, by the way, if anybody wants it. He, back in his prime, Russell Wilson was, revolutionary. Not necessarily the fastest quarterback, but, he did win a Super Bowl. But these days, I don't know. I think I like Justin Fields there better with the youth learning from Russell Wilson. But because of that, until we have some clarity on the situation, I'm sitting Pickens and any probably Steelers player from the foreseeable future, including the running backs. And I'm actually going to sit Amari Cooper versus Dallas, only because everyone's back. I know Bland is Bland out. I forget. But, I mean, they still have Diggs. I just think Deshaun Watson's going to have a really rough week this week against a Dallas team that has a lot to prove after their first round exit. So, last year in the playoffs. That was for Angel right there. Go touch some grass, Angel. But I mean that's who I have sitting this week for receiver. Who you got starting this week at receiver?
Starting, I got all 3 Texans receivers for sure going up against the Colts. The Colts, like I said before, did nothing in the offseason to help their defense. I talked to 2 Colts fans Weirdly enough, I consider them friends, which is, unheard of, but whatever. We'll let that pass, I like to talk to losers so then I understand what it feels like to lose. We wouldn't
I
know,
could talk
right?
to you and about your team. It's the same thing.
Anyways, hey, dude, it's the season of hope, all right? It's the season of hope. Um, so I like all three of them. You still run into the issue that I talked about last episode, which is that, CJ Stroud has a bunch of weapons, so he's able to share the love. But I think if you start any three of them this week, I don't think that's going to be a bad decision by any means. He should pretty much be able to have his pick on who he wants. Eventually, I think down the line, it's going to end up being at the point to where he just, you know what, you didn't get a touchdown yet, so here you go. So I like the Texans a lot. I don't think that Colts defense is going to be able to do much. I think their offense isn't going to really be able to stay on the field too much, not enough. So I like all three of the Texans receivers. And then the next one is Mike Evans. I actually like Mike Evans against the Cardinals. Um, or I'm sorry, Commanders. Commanders. Sorry, they both had C in it. It was close enough.
You're like the
So
Redskins. The Redskins.
yeah, the Redskins. Against the Commanders. Um, at the end of the day, he is the number one. Baker Mayfield. He's not really the best in the world. You know what I mean? But you could have Daniel Jones, so that would be terrible.
That's a shot
Um,
at New York Giant Joe. Shot number
I
two.
know. So we're gonna start keeping count.
Yes.
Anyways, so I like Mike Evans. Mike Evans has shown no matter how old he is, he still stays consistent. He stays relevant. And going against the Commanders, I don't see the Commanders' offense really doing a whole lot. Uh, as far as staying on the field goes, I mean, it's not that hard to know who you're going to go to, which is Scary Terry the whole time. Their backfield, now they got Austin Eckler, but he's kind of riding off name. So uh, I really think that Mike Evans has a big chance, a big shot to do a whole lot. As far as sits go, uh, I would actually sit Garrett Wilson against the Niners just
That's
because I
fair.
think that the Niners are going to chew up the clock. I think they're going to eat up the clock. It's going to be a game between two good defenses to the point where I don't think it's going to be high scoring enough for you to get any value. He might get 10 points maybe, but I don't expect much out of it. It's going to probably, if you're playing in a PPR, those are the only points he's going to get you, really. I think. Um, that 49ers defense is too stingy. That 49ers offense chews up clock and eventually down the line makes you either fight for the clock time because you're down so bad. They command too much. And so I don't think that Garrett Wilson, I don't think Aaron Rodgers, I don't think Brees Hall, I don't think they're going to have too much of a fun time. There's going to be too much in a coaching staff of dynamic of working around trying to confuse that defense, which is a very stout defense, to where Garrett Wilson, I think, is going to end up falling to the wayside and be pretty irrelevant for the game plan of anything. The other one I would sit, which I don't even know why I have to bring it up, but apparently he gets drafted so much, is Rashee Rice going against the Ravens.
Talking about Crashy
Rashee,
Rice.
dude, the fastest thing that dude can do is just in a car, and that's it. He cannot do anything else. He is so overvalued. It's insane. It's because he's going against no competition. If you put him on a good team, he would be maybe your starter in the slot at best. He would be a number 3, maybe a number 2, fighting for a number 2 spot, maybe. But he's super overvalued. I don't think he's going to bring anything. I don't think he's going to do anything to where he's going to be relevant to anything. I think, honestly, I know you said you would sit him, but I think Pacheco is going to end up kind of being the main target. And that Ravens defense is just so stout that I don't see him having any relevance to any points to doing much of anything.
That's fair. Who do you got starting at tight end this week?
Tight ends. I'm starting Evan Ingram for sure against the Dolphins. Yep. I mean, to be honest, Evan Ingram is the most consistent with Trevor Lawrence. Um, the play action always works in favor of tight ends a lot of the time because they end up going up the seam, up the middle. They end up curving around in the middle. They end up just doing a 5 yard little curl enough just in case you know, that play action breaks down. There's majority of the time the tight end is the hot route on these play action plays. Um, so I think Ingram has a good chance to be very good. He's normally an up and down roller coaster every single fantasy year, but I think this is going to be the one time where he hits the high. So I would definitely look towards him. Next one, Dalton Kincaid going against the Cardinals. Um, Kincaid's kind of the only one left on the Bills with any chemistry that's already been established with Josh Allen. Uh, so I would say if I was a defensive coordinator, I would probably think that a coverage sack is going to be a big thing. So Josh Allen's going to scramble. And in that moment, he's going to be looking for the only reliable guy he's got. And he's just going to try these little dump passes, little short passes, things like that. And I think Kincaid's going to be a good option for him. And the Cardinals' defense is not really about middle of the pack. So I'm not expecting much resistance to go against Kincaid. I'm sitting Pitts against the Steelers just because the Steelers are known for having a good defense. Their offense right now isn't really firing on all cylinders, so I think that'll be the one thing that kind of makes Pitts a little bit more of a viable option would be because he'll have more chances. But I think, in all honesty, uh, he's not going to really be as targeted as you might think, as most people are hoping is going to happen. And I think if he does get it, he's going to get punished so much by that Steelers defense whenever he catches the ball. Like the second he catches it, he's going to probably get one step and get lit up, and he's going to start hesitating as it goes down in the middle. And so I don't trust Pitts in this game against the Steelers. Next is Kittle going against the Jets. Jets are a top defense. Um, Too many options going on with the 49ers to where Kittle is a roller coaster all the same. But I just don't like this matchup. There's too much going on. I think the Jets offense has a good chance to chew out the clock as well. So I wouldn't start George Kittle.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree on George Kittle, and also he just had core surgery and he lost 20 pounds. And I think what makes George Kittle so dynamic is that he could sit there and block all game, or he can go and put up four touchdowns. But with him coming off of core surgery and being a little lighter and facing a really good defense, I completely agree that I don't think he's coming out. I don't think Niners passing game is going to be very good, which is sad because I have Ayuk. But and with Pitts, so like I'm just saying, so I have him in our fantasy league. I'm starting him with the hopes that Kirk Cousins can do to him what he did to TJ. Not like TJ wasn't a slob to begin with. TJ was great. But Kyle Pitts has never really fully lived up to his potential in Atlanta, but he also hasn't had good quarterback play. Not saying Kirk Cousins is good, but he's better than some of the other quarterbacks that we've seen. He's going to get you to the playoffs. That's what Kirk can do. So I'm starting him this week, but only out of necessity, not because if I had other options, I would definitely look at other options. So my tight ends, we're going to my tight ends, and I'll go into the defense. So I'm also starting Ingram versus Miami for the same reasons that you explained. I also like Christian Kirk. Miami does give up a lot of points. They did a lot last year as well, and there hasn't been any significant changes. But I have better receivers, so I'm not personally not starting Kirk. But if you had no other options, I would start him as well. It's just like a honorable mention. And then I actually like Brock Bowers this week against the Chargers, and it's only because it's a divisional game. The Chargers are boo-boo. I love Justin Herbert. Don't like anybody else on their team. Joey Bosa's back. For how long? Khalil Mack's back. Well, he's there. I mean, he's always there. But, I mean, he can only do so much. And I think Brock Bowers is really a true receiving tight end, not really a blocker. And they have Michael
Yeah.
Mayer that they drafted last year as their blocker. So I think Bowers is going to have a lot of success in the middle. So I just think bad team, new coach. I love Jim Harbaugh too, but Bowers is probably going to have his week. Minshew's going to be throwing to him. Minshew's shown flashes that he can do it. I don't think Raiders are a very good team, so I think if they're going to do it, this is going to be the week. I'm going to be sitting Tyler Conklin, though, against San Francisco. I don't know who has Conklin, but there are people who do still need tight ends, and if you have him, do not start him against San Francisco, and do not start Freiermuth against Atlanta. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because what I've been continue to be saying since we started this episode, I do not trust Pittsburgh until some of their quarterbacks can prove to me that they can get the guys the ball, and that's kind of just where I'm at with it. I think for sure for week one, wait, and if they prove us wrong, great, start them next week. But for right now,
in my other league, I had no choice to pick up Freiermuth, so I have to start him. I have no choice.
Put up like no points last year. He literally put no points up.
I've already expected it.
I was like, man, like it's hard. It's hard, you know. Like tight ends, I feel like there's like 5 or 6 guys. We talk a lot about this in our preview episode for fantasy. Like there's just 5 or 6 good tight ends, and after that, there's just a huge drop off that you might get points and you might not. That's kind of what it is with it. And then at the top of the episode, I forgot to make a note. And I'll do it next year. I make sure I do it next week. Obviously, you're starting your Mahomes, your Lamars, your CJs, your Burrows. I had Burrow because he's playing New England. I think that was a significant matchup. But typically, the purpose of this list is just to go over people who are maybe more middle of the pack, where it's like, oh, you could maybe start somebody over them. So that's kind of the purpose of this list, is just to be like some of those, not necessarily sleepers, but some of those middle tier guys to kind of help decide who to start over. You know, like James Conner versus Aaron Jones or Pacheco.
The guys you're maybe on the fence of that you could interchange. That's what we're more talking
about. Matchup based guys. Flex spots, etc. Your second running back, your second receiver. So now I'm going to go to the defense. So I'm starting Cincinnati versus New England. I know X had said that earlier as well. Cincinnati should have a really good day. New England's kind of boo-boo. Not kind of, they are. Drake May's not even their starting quarterback. I like Brissett, but Brissett isn't the answer. And then I'm starting Dallas D against Cleveland. I don't really like Cleveland this week at all. I mean, they have a great defense, but I just don't know. Their offense is just so hit or miss with me with Deshaun Watson, because Deshaun Watson did so bad last year with the team chemistry. And they're playing Dallas. So to me, it's just like I would try to avoid them if you can. And then I'm sitting Tennessee D at Chicago. I know X has expressed how good Tennessee is. I know. I just think Caleb, a lot of these rookie quarterbacks will have good couple of weeks. We've seen it with Anthony Richardson last year. CJ started off pretty good too. I think he's one of the anomalies where he actually did well throughout the season. But I think as the season progresses, I don't think Caleb's going to do that well. I think he's going to start gassing and taking a lot of hits and potentially get injured. So I just think this week I'm not starting Tennessee. And then I'm actually going to sit Kansas City versus Baltimore. I'd actually probably still Baltimore against Kansas City, but I'm definitely sitting Kansas City against Baltimore. I just think they have too many options right now. The receiving core isn't anything crazy, but Zay Flowers was proven last year that he was did pretty well, but Rashad Bateman's also back, and I do like Rashad Bateman a lot. So Rashad Bateman's my big sleeper this year that no one has in any of their leagues. So who are you starting this week at defense?
Defense, I got the Bengals going against the Patriots. Like you said, same thing. Just the Bengals should have a solid game. I mean, unless the Bengals are just fully going downhill, that's the only reason why I see them failing. Then I also got the Seahawks against the Broncos. The Broncos are not. They're just trash, man. They're not good at all. I don't see any reason why any Broncos fan or anybody should be excited about anything. Like, bro, you're just fighting for a draft pick right now. You're in a hole.
Next, man.
Bro, okay. I mean, I remember my first beer. But, regardless, I just don't see why the Seahawks shouldn't have their way with them. Their offense should be able to control the clock the entire time. There's just no reason. Who I would sit would be the Browns against the Cowboys. I would not touch that with a 10-foot pole at all. Cowboys are still good. I mean, there's there's, unfortunately, we hate to say it, right? Because the last thing we want to do is up the ego of a Cowboys fan. But
Angel's
unfortunately,
listening.
it
Don't
is what
worry.
it
Angel's
is, dude.
listening.
I know he's hyping up right now, but Browns against Cowboys, it's just not going to look good. Next is I would sit the Lions defense
What?
against the Rams. Yep. I'm going
What?
to be that guy, dude. Kyron Williams, the offense has so many
Uh,
weapons that they could chew up that clock, man. They can really chew up the clock. That's
does
my
Aiden
biggest
Hutchinson not
concern.
ring a bell?
Dude, they are going to chew up the clock regardless.
You're
I love the
crazy.
Lions. Don't get me wrong. I love Dan Campbell. I love what the Lions are doing, but I cannot buy in to that one because the Rams offense just does too much. That defense might give up. The Rams defense might give up a lot to the Lions, but if that is the case, then now that Lions defense is back on the field, and now you're going to start losing points again because it's just going to give them more opportunity to score. So that's my biggest concern. So that's why I would sit them. And as far as the Titans go, I have the Titans defense in my other league. You're going to watch big things. Big things happen,
So you're
boys.
starting him this week?
Big things. I'm starting the Titans defense this week. And
You
I
are.
could change them out. I could change them
Okay.
out for a better matchup, but I'm going to start them because I think that rookiness is going to show. And our defensive coordinator is super aggressive in his blitz. And Caleb Williams is going to panic because he's probably, he hasn't faced that in college.
That's
Not
fair.
this type, not NFL blitzes. So,
Right. That's fair. That's fair. So next we're going to be going into week 1 fantasy football bets. So due to technical difficulties, X couldn't be here for this, but I'm going to go ahead and just run through it. So the first game we got Baltimore, Kansas City at -3. I'm taking Baltimore Ravens at +3. So I'm taking the money lines at Baltimore Ravens, and the total I believe would be under 47. The next game we got Green Bay Packers at Eagles. The Eagles are favored -2.5 in Brazil. I'm taking the Eagles at -2.5. I'm taking the money line on the Eagles, and I think the total will be over on that game. The next game we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are favored by 3. I think I'm going to take Atlanta at -3. And I think the money line, I will also go with the Falcons, and I'm going to take the under on total. The total I'm going to take under 43 on that. The next game we got Arizona Cardinals at Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are favored by 7. I think that's fair. I'm taking Buffalo at -7. The money line on Buffalo, and I think the total will actually be over just because both the defenses are not looking so hot. The next game we got Tennessee at Chicago at -4.5. I'm taking Chicago at 4.5. And I'm taking Chicago with the money line, and I think the total will actually be over that. Next game, we got New England at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's favored by -8.5, and I think they're going to win by 2 touchdowns. So I'm taking the -8.5 on that. Bengals for the money line, and I think the total will be over. Next game, we got Houston at Indy. So the Texans are favored by -1.5, and I think they're going to win by more than that. So I'm taking the Houston Texans. They'll for sure win by 3 or more. So my money line's on the Texans, and I think the total is actually going to be over. I think we'll be surprised for that game. The next game we got Jacksonville at Miami. I like Miami at -3.5. Miami for the money line, and I think the total is going to be over because both their defenses are pretty bad. Next game we got North Carolina. We got Carolina Panthers at New Orleans Saints. Saints are favored at -4.5, and I think that's fair. Carolina Panthers had a really bad year last year, and they got Deontay Johnson, but nothing too crazy. So I'm taking the Saints on the money line, and the total, they'll give me over 40.5 on that. The next game we got Minnesota Vikings at New York Giants. So the Giants are favored at -0.5, and I just don't know. I don't really like the Giants. I think here I'm gonna have to take the Minnesota Vikings at plus 0.5. I'm taking the Vikings at -105, and I think the total will be over 41.5. Next game, we got the Raiders at the Chargers. The Chargers are favored by -3.5. This is a weird one because even though the Raiders haven't been good, the Chargers, even though they have Jim Harbaugh, I don't know what they have to bring to the table. They have Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, and they're going to be probably a run-first team. They do have Justin Herbert, but against my better judgment, I think I'm going to go Raiders here at plus 3.5, and I'm taking Raiders for the money line, and I think the total is going to be under 43.5. The next game, we got the Denver Broncos at Seattle Seahawks at minus 4.5. And just like X was saying earlier in the episode, I think Seattle's going to completely blow them out. So I like Seattle at minus 4.5, Seattle money line, and I think the total is going to be. Give me the under on 42.5. The next game we have Dallas Cowboys at Cleveland Browns. The Browns are favored by 1. No, I'm taking Dallas Cowboys at +1. Taking the Cowboys money line at minus 110. I think the total is going to be over 44. Actually, I think the total is going to be under 44. The next game we got Washington Commanders at Tampa Bay Bucks. The Bucks are favored at -4. I'm taking them at -4. I'm taking them for the money line at -200, and I think the total is going to be over 41.5. 2 more games. We got the Los Angeles Rams at the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions are -3.5 favorites, and I think that is fair. The Los Angeles Rams defense hasn't been the same since the loss of Aaron Donald. Detroit Lions were a NFC Championship game playoff team. Detroit, I like Detroit's offense. I like Detroit's defense. I'm taking Detroit at -3.5. I'm taking them as the money line, and I think the total is going to be over 51. It's going to be a good game. That'll probably be the game of the week. The last game we got New York Jets at San Francisco at -5.5. I'm going to take San Francisco at -5.5, and the game is going to be close, but I think the Niners can win by 2 field goals. So I'm taking the Niners at -240, but for the total at 45.5, I think it's going to be under. Because I don't see that game being a very high scoring game at all. So kind of like I said at the top of this, we're going to be doing this every week. I'm going to probably have Bebel and X in here as well, or vice versa, or both of them. Help me do this each week. So we're going to do weeks of fantasy football from week 1 to week 17. And then after that, we'll probably cover some of the betting props for like the playoffs and for the Super Bowl. Thanks for listening. If you stay to the end, we greatly appreciate you. You can check us out on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You can listen to this on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. We're going to be posting weekly. And if you want to see our list, I think I'm going to post it to our website. You can check that out. It's also here at the bottom, but it's www.unfiltered.com. And like I said, I apologize. X's internet had went out, so I had to go ahead and finish this episode. But until next time, thanks for sticking around. Peace.